We have a fascinating new poll of millennials to report to you here. The Washington Post explains, a Harvard University survey, which polled young adults between ages 18 and 29, found that 51% of respondents do not support capitalism. It isn't clear that the young people in the poll would prefer some alternative system, though. Just 33% said they supported socialism. Okay, so my initial reaction reading this, the first part of it, I went, that's too liberal even for me. Like, I look at that and I go, no, really? 51% of you just say, capitalism, bad. I don't agree with that. My position is more nuanced. Capitalism, bad, sometimes. Capitalism need to be mixed with socialism. Like, that's my gut when I read it. So when I read the first part here, I went, oh, wow, they're even to the left of me. But then when I read the second part, I said, no, actually, they're probably right in a line with what I believe, because, so they're saying 51% says capitalism is bad, but only 33% says socialism is good. So what that tells me is, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, and maybe my, the reasoning skills here falter, but, well, my takeaway is, oh, perhaps the way they asked the questions was too black and white, and so people had no way of saying, I prefer social democracy or democratic socialism, a Scandinavian type system. So they had to answer like this, when in reality, they kind of want what I want and what a lot of you want, which is this middle ground between the two. So, I've spoken about it before, but I disagree with communism. I know there are some people who are communists who listen to the show and they don't think I'm far left enough and whatever, you guys can believe whatever the fuck you want to believe, it's fine. But I don't believe in communism. In fact, I'm kind of a strong opponent of communism. I also don't believe in, some versions of socialism. Obviously, it's a kind of an amorphous term and there's a few different definitions, but I never just call myself a socialist. I always try to be more nuanced than that because I think my position actually is more nuanced than that. I like to say that my position is the last stop on the way to socialism. So the last stop still in capitalism, but on the way to socialism. And again, it's very easy to conceptualize this because just think of Scandinavia. Just think of Norway, Denmark, Iceland, Sweden, all these places. They're pretty much spot on, in my view, with how they've mixed capitalism and socialism, where the idea is capitalism harnesses your human nature and your competitiveness, where people, okay, I want to get out there, I want to do something, and I want to build the best chairs or make the best video game or do this or that. So you have all those things, so you still harness human nature, you still have that competitive philosophy underlying the economy and the system. But then also you counteract that and you balance that with taxation, and then you take the taxes and you put it towards things that we've declared are off the table. And this is the socialist aspect of the capitalist system, where you say, okay, everybody's going to have an equal opportunity. Not equality of outcome, equal opportunity, where don't worry, you're going to have health care. Okay, don't worry, you're going to get an education if you want it. Don't worry, we have things like universal daycare, paid vacation time by law, things like that, which make it so that we have a healthy environment of capitalism where the floor is not egregiously low, where you basically have a system of wage slavery set up. Okay, and I think that the Scandinavian region has done a much better job of fostering this kind of system than the U.S. has. Various parts of Europe have. Australia has done a better job than the United States of fostering this kind of an environment. So, at first I thought they're too liberal even for me, if 51% say capitalism is bad. But then now, when I read on, I said, oh, actually, I think they might be exactly where I am on this. And by the way, that explains the overwhelming millennial support for somebody like Bernie Sanders. Because Bernie Sanders came along and said, what's your philosophy? Totally. I agree with that 100%. And then he fought for it. So when you look at the numbers of millennials and their support of Bernie, it is so overwhelming that you can see nothing except social democracy in the future of America. So, that's the good news here. Now, we have a lot of fights to get to that point, because we still have money in politics, and the system is obviously biased in favor of wealthy donors and corporations. But if we keep fighting, we're going to win, and eventually we're going to get to the point where, in my view, we have the right balance, where we still have capitalism, we still have private ownership, we don't have just central command, but we have a healthy mix of private enterprise, regulation of that private enterprise, and equal opportunity, including healthcare, education, and some other things.